Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and I'm making this video for a very specific reason. It's not to review it. It's not to make the fairly meager, monetization off of it. It's to get a question answered that I've had for 5 years. Why is this movie set in 2010? It came out in 2015, and it's not like it was sitting on the shelf. It's weird. As far as I can tell, it was filmed in 2014, and then it's okay. So this is the transporter refueled. I had to look it up because I was still confused. Apparently, it was a soft reboot, which is weird because I don't know where to start. This whole movie's turning my brain into a pretzel. So I'm a huge fan of the first two transporter movies. And I saw the third one. The first one, I'm not joking. I've probably seen that movie 50 times. Very different iterations. And the second one, again, which I think is actually a better movie, 20 times. The third one once. And then I think it was a TV show, like before. I don't know. It was a TV show for a while. And then they mentioned that they were rebooting this, and they had a guy who's about 15, 20 years younger than Jason Statham, and you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then it just got weirder and weirder from there. So it's not a prequel. This isn't like the early days of the transporter. It's I don't know. Now I know intrinsically, and I didn't even need to. I was like, okay, so Jason Statham turned him down. He asked for too much money. But it looks like they decided, as, a lot of franchises, they start and then they peak and then they kind of level off. But people still know the name and it's worth something. So what you do is you just say, hey, we're going to reboot it. It's going to be about half the, budget of the previous three movies. They were going to make three more. So I saw this in the theater and I remember I liked it while also being very, very, very confused. Why am I confused? Well, this is a good movie. It's not a good transporter movie. It's actually a cool movie called The Four Musketeers, or whatever you want to call it. It's about these four women that are working in a brothel for a mafia in the south of France. And it's one mafia, and then a Russian mafia takes over, and that's 1995. It's a while ago. It was 20 years before the events of the, and then, yeah, then it's 2010, and it says on the screen. And I remember in 2015 saying, "That's weird. Maybe they're okay. So this is gonna be a second flashback that's later." And then the movie's, no, it's just in 2010. For no reason at all. And it's driving me insane. I can't. It has a car from 2012 in it. So it's not like, oh, we want to do this car, but we want to say it's new, so let's set it the year that. No. I looked it up. It's a 2012 Audi, I think. Because these movies are, they're based around the cars a lot. So. But this one, not as much either. So, the bottom line is this movie has been confusing me for 5 years, and I really need someone who watched like the DVD extras or read like film, not film, one of the European, some 20-page interview with Luc Besson where he explains this movie. Okay, so the basic plot is, again, it's a soft reboot. It introduces the transporter and its three rules. You have a little fight in a parking garage, just like in, I think, the second one. And then we meet his dad. This is a huge, huge, huge problem. Okay, so the new transporter is Ed Skrein. I like him in everything but this. He's terrible in this. Then they cast Ray Stevenson as his dad. Ray Stevenson is freaking awesome. In fact, the whole movie should have just been, hey, the transporter was killed. Here's his dad. And so Ray Stevenson, who I looked it up, he was like 51 when this was filmed. Honestly, he looks about a decade older, but he's Ray Stevenson. Everyone loves him. And if you're like, I don't know that name very well, once you see him, you're like, I love that guy. Everything he's in. Punisher Warzone, he was in that. So the movie is basically Ray Stevenson, the transporter's dad, and these four women that they're like the four musketeers. They all wear these matching blonde wigs. And they pull all these crimes. I'm not even going to discuss the villain. The villain is so freaking lame. I will discuss how bad the fight scenes are. These are now the first transporter movies were very good. They had a thing where I forgot to look up his name. He's a director and stunt coordinator from I forget. I think China. And even though it was Louis Leterrier for the first two, and then Olivier Megaton for the third one, they would direct like the car chases and the dialogue scenes and all the action scenes. They would hand it off to the effectively the stunt choreographer. So the fights are really, really good. The fights especially are good in the first transporter. I think the story is better in the second one. All I remember about the third one is that it was very drab. The transporter had a friend who was like a older German guy, and the love interest was way too young for Jason Statham, and she kind of looked like an apple, like a human apple. So I only saw that once. But it didn't twist my mind into a pretzel. Okay, so Ed Skrein. Now, the deal is, the funny thing about Jason Statham is I don't think he's a martial artist at all. I think he's an athlete. He did a diving, and I think he's just generally athletic. So if you get a really good fight choreographer to spend a couple weeks, he will do some. He's really, really good at it, and he's got great charisma. Everyone likes Jason Statham. I used to think I was like a huge Jason Statham fan, and then I realized that everyone is. Nobody doesn't like. Geez, can you imagine if it would have been Jason Statham and Ray Stevenson? I mean, they're like the same age, but you know what I mean. But that would have been great. But yeah, this Ed Skrein, he has charisma in other things, just not in this one. And he is so unconvincing in the fight scenes. They basically have to do it just like one punch, one kick, one joint lock at a time. But like, man, he can't sell anything. It reminds me of, if you saw the Iron Fist Netflix show, especially like the first couple episodes, the actor, they interviewed him. He's like, yeah, I got cast and I was shooting fight scenes like 5 days later. That's why I have no muscle tone. I'm like terrible. He got better in, what was it? Defenders? I don't even remember if that show got a second season. He was solid in the Defenders. But the first cut, like, it's awful. But the story of the four women, who are very loyal, and they're like a cohort, a sisterhood, and they're trying to get revenge and get money. That stuff is like freaking great. Like, this is a transporter movie that would be much better without the transporter. Video title. But besides that, the much lower budget is very much evident, but you got some nice locales. You got some beautiful women, and then their story and their characters are like, actually, you're like really, really good. So yeah, transporter movie that would be a lot better with the transporter not in it. So now I'm not joking. This is not a bit. I need someone who knows the Luc Besson movies better than me, and I know them pretty well. I've seen more than half his movies, and several of them are favorites. Why is this movie set in 2010? Oh, and then we're not even going to get into like this transporter. It's like a soft reboot. The bad guy is from his platoon in Unnamed War, but he's like clearly like 30 when this was filmed. But they do like a 15-year time jump. Nothing. Oh, and then at the end, I've been watching a lot of financial movies. There's some really good financial movies. Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. I just watched The Big Short, which was freaking amazing. I'm going to watch Margin Call. But we know everything's a little different. Like the phone, like all the letters will be, the font will be huge, so everything reads very well. Like the way you transfer money in this movie is like stupid. The other thing is at one point the bad guy, they trick the bad guy's lieutenants into, or like, I guess they're all equals, but they make him say, oh, you're stealing from them. And then he's like, I can prove I'm not stealing. I have $120,000 in my bank account. And then they go to his bank account and it literally has exactly $120,000. And like the display is like huge. And then you can, when you transfer money to people, it doesn't have their routing number and their bank account number. It has, I have to pause before I say this. It has a picture of them and their actual name. These people are all criminals. What the hell? Oh my gosh. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.